I didn't put the fucking intro on, and my mic's not muted.
Welcome to Brain Rock. I'm Jason Axe.
I've been running this shit for a year now, and I'm still fucking it up, and I'm Kevin Graham.
And this is the best show on the internet.
I don't know if we could have started this show any worse, which is fitting for this show because, it's like I was saying right before we went on. It's a good thing that this show's not fucking funny because.
Well, we are the only recipient of the Wooden YouTube Award.
Listen.
Okay.
Show them that wood. Okay. That is the most important.
We deliver the wood.
We deliver that wood
every single week.
Each and every week. This is stuff you don't have to pay for. It's brand new. We're here for you. We're here to get silly. We're here to give you a laugh. And YouTube was like, hey, those are two guys with a bright future. We're going to get them to stop calling us every day and just give them the wood so that they can give it to the audience because that's what the audience
don't even have to belong to the Christian church. We're just going to give it to them. We're going to give them the wood.
Well, I just went through a series of events that we don't need to discuss.
But anyway, folks, we are here this is the last show.
Gwilda says our wood looks nice and smooth, and
well, thank you.
You're damn right it is. We keep it smooth.
You know, it's currently at my establishment. You know, we parted ways a couple years ago. Kevin got stabbed in the throat at a fast food restaurant.
I completely forgot about that.
But he's dead now, and the ghost of Kevin.
Yeah.
Much like if you're an imposter in that fucking game, you're just a ghost roaming around.
But you still have to do work. Like that's the thing.
Is the work ever done? Let's be honest.
No, I'm still doing this show, and yet we're here every week, and like, it's never done.
The work is never done.
Yes.
But yes, we this is the best show on the internet. This is the last show of 2020, and I'll raise a fucking glass.
Whatever you're drinking, clinks.
KoolAid, Gatorade, a nice Jack and Diet.
If you're drinking Kool-Aid this late at night, I mean, good.
Got diabetes.
Good for you, I guess, because you know what you like. I'm not here to judge. You know what you like. Just check the color of your poop tomorrow because
some Tito's. Some Kool-Aid.
That's an interesting. I don't think I've tried that yet.
Tito's and Kool-Aid.
See, the Kevin Graham special is just a bunch of ice, a bunch of Tito's, a splash of lemon juice, and maybe like a dab of simple syrup.
You know, a year ago when we went on a road trip, you know, back when like. Life was cool. We went on a road trip to a comic book convention. That was a year.
I was propositioned.
You're best in town.
Best in town. Oh boy!
Hit that bell. Subscribe.
Go back and find that episode
to find that story.
I almost lost my shirt that night.
You were propositioned for a blowjob for a T-shirt.
Which
at a bar in Charlotte, North Carolina, promised it was the best in town.
Which I would disagree. I mean, just sometimes you go to the store and you look at the signage, and the product don't match.
And sometimes the off-brand is better than the name brand. I'm just saying.
I don't like this conversation.
Anyway, basically what I'm trying to say is that it's the last show of the year. Thank the fucking Lord, because God damn it, if this year wasn't bad enough with the shutdowns, with the COVID,
oh my goodness,
with the government turning your back on you, everything that came in line, us good brothers were kicked in the balls.
Yeah.
Just a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you're supposed to pick up the speech, but I guess I'll continue.
I thought you had a whole thing planned, so I was gonna let you go.
Brother, I have nothing planned.
Much. You're doing better than I am.
Much like most of my life. We lost somebody right at the tail end of 2020. And I'm not talking about that fuck on Gilligan's Island that just passed away.
Marianne?
Yeah, she bit the dust, I guess. But like,
it's uncalled for.
I mean, is it?
I don't know.
Like she's with what's the guy? Bob Denver.
Bob Denver.
He died.
John Denver too, which I learned recently.
I'm pretty sure that John Denver, Bob Denver,
Bob Dylan,
and Bob. No, he's still alive. But the fuck from what the fuck's his name? I'm blanking on his name. From the Apple Dumpling Gang. The fucking Three's Company. Fucking
oh my God. I don't.
Mr. Furley.
Isn't that the same guy? Don Knotts.
I'm pretty sure that they all died.
I mean, he's died like 25 times.
At the same time. Yeah, Patrick Fenton, our hearts are broken, man.
Yeah.
We're about to get into it. Listen, folks. 2CW brother Brodie Lee unexpectedly passed away. What was it, Saturday?
It was this past weekend on Saturday, yes.
It was this past weekend on Saturday. Really hit me harder. Not that I was expecting, like nobody's expecting it.
Yeah.
At all. But man.
Yeah.
I've been a wreck for the past 5 days, whatever the hell it's been.
I was you texted me and it hit a lot harder and a lot differently than I think anybody else that we had kind of, because like growing up as wrestling fans, obviously there comes a point where the people you grew up watching,
right.
As sad as it is, they do eventually pass away. And the unfortunate aspect of wrestling is we do lose a lot of people way too soon, way too early. And,
well, yeah, I mean, a lot of it's that the toll that wrestling takes on the body.
But I mean, like, drugs, but like
that sort of thing.
We're usually in that frame of reference. We usually have that frame of reference, so to speak, where it's, it still sucks, but like, I don't want to say it's not uncommon, but it is kind of not uncommon. But like this, because like he was sick and not a lot, and I don't think too many people really knew that he was sick.
No, not really. And kind of bring it back at that point, like as two guys who were former wrestlers, like that's not unknown information. And it's kind of something that you sign up for.
Sure.
When you start wrestling, like I remember having a conversation with my dad, after he witnessed a match where I had kind of got hit in the head a few times, and he sat down with me and like had a heart to heart and said, "You need to think about your future."
Right.
And I'm like, do you know what this is? like there's no future.
Outside
like
looking
you
in,
either
though. Yeah.
make it or you don't. That's kind of it. And I think part of it that like really hits home the most was like he was the guy that made it.
That's
out of all of us.
And that was the one thing that I kept going back to. Was it hit harder on so many different levels because number one, we knew him. I wasn't
pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew him pretty well. I wasn't really like close buddies with him. It wasn't that sort of thing, but like, you know, always cordial, always friendly. You know, we shared a locker, like we all shared the locker room together for a number of years. I mean, you a little bit more than I did, because I think by the time I came in, there was maybe 2 or 3 more years, and then he was gone. He was headed.
I was going to ask you, and I didn't ask you off camera, and I'm sorry that I'm putting you on the spot here. You trained in Rochester for a little bit before coming to Syracuse. Was he still there?
Yes, he was.
In Rochester?
Yes, he was.
So you had a little bit of training by Brodie Lee.
A little bit of training. When I was going to the school run by Mike Hellcat for NWA Upstate, the guys that were there essentially running the class were the McLeods, Colin and Jimmy, Brodie, and then like Gabe Saint. Dick Justice and Nick Ando were students.
Okay.
To give
for perspective.
For perspective, it was October 2007. I remember one of my first interactions with Brodie, really like person to person, was I had gotten blown the fuck up, and they were like, "You can go like just stand off to the side if you need to, like catch your breath." And I'm just like, and I'm standing there. And, like, Brodie's sitting on the apron, and he looks over to me, and he goes, "Oh, my God. Are you okay?" And I was like, "I don't know." He goes, "You look terrible." And I was like, "I feel pretty terrible." Yeah, and then there was the night where we ran chops, where everybody just got in line and you got the shit chopped out of you, and I had a nice Brodie Lee size handprint in my chest for about a week. But the best thing about that entire month was there would come a point roughly to about like the end of class. So like we would get about 3/4 of the way through class, and it would be like, okay, everybody, like, you know, get out of the ring, take a break, do what you got to do. Brodie and Jimmy would just start wrestling.
Okay.
And everybody would just stop and watch. And sometimes they would go 5 minutes. Sometimes they would go half an hour. But, like, just sitting there and watching those two guys work.
Right.
Like, that itself was worth the trip. That itself was worth, you know, the dues paid that month. Like, that itself was the education, because you got to watch two guys who were just carving out their craft and just go and just grinding it out and just working. And it was so fun and so great just to sit back and like watch these guys work. And like, I'll never forget that. And then, like, you know, get into rough matches for him in 2CW, just getting to share a locker room with him. Like, again, always a nice dude. Like, one of the most comforting things I think throughout all of this has just been like sitting back and reading the stories people have been sharing.
Oh yeah,
because like every single one of them, man, like spot on. And I feel like for the couple of years that like I sort of interacted with him, the best interaction I think I ever had with him, it was leading up to my first match. So it was myself, Brute, and Mikey.
Oh yeah, in Binghamton, I remember this.
And leading, and I'm gonna kind of bury Brute here a little bit.
Okay.
Almost complete opposites, Jeremy and Brute. Fenton, absolutely complete opposites. But
that's very true.
But the way they worked, everything made sense, man. It was so beautiful to watch. But
both so good. But both so good.
Yeah. But so leading up to our first match, now like we got the call from Josh maybe late December, somewhere like early January, I think. And he was like, "This is what we're gonna do. It's just gonna be a one shot. It's gonna be for you guys to go out there because you've been training for as long as you have, and I just want you guys to have a match." And we were like, okay. He's like, don't go out, buy a bunch of shit for gear. He goes, just...
This isn't going to last.
Basically, it was just, yeah. It was like, basically, it was like, because like I was still reffing at the time. And so... And like they were kind of coming up with gimmicks for us, but like there was like this weird hesitation throughout everybody who was like talking about it. But
they didn't want to commit to you guys yet.
They really didn't want to commit to us yet.
Right. Yeah.
But like I want to say maybe like the week or two leading up to the match. I don't know if it was a rib or if everybody was being serious, but the one thing we kept hearing from everybody was like, hey, you know what? Because like at this point we had class was like built around us training to do the match. Like we were going over the spots, we were
choreographing basically the whole thing, right?
Essentially just running through it.
Right.
But we would get to a point where somebody would go, hey, you know what? Don't worry if you fuck up, because Brodie's just going to come out and boot the shit out of everybody.
Oh, that's right. That was the finish.
And we were like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah. If you guys get to a point where, you know, you fuck up or you're just like really stinking up the joint, we're just going to have Brodie run out and just boot all of you in the face. And like, I don't know if like, again, like if it was actually a rib or that was the plan, but like we were all just like, really? Fast forward to the night of the show.
Right.
We're in the basement of the Legion. Like Mikey, Brute, myself, we're going over the match. We're just running through it. I think Springgate's coming over. He's having each and every one of us call it to him.
Sure.
And you know, there's like a moment where like we all kind of like break, but like we're all sort of like standing in the same area. Fran goes, I remember hearing that too.
Yeah, I remember that now that you say that.
This is the best moment ever. So like we're all just kind of standing there, just kind of like, you know, running through shit in our head. You know, you've been in the locker room with Brute, so you know the mode he gets into when he's going over stuff in his head.
Very intense.
He really goes inward.
Yes.
Well, he's doing that, and at this moment, I see Brodie over in the corner. And he just walks up, and he just casually stands next to Brute, and he turns to him, and he goes, looks him dead in the eye, goes, "Don't fuck up." And then he just walks away. I nearly shit myself out of laughter. I think Brute may have nearly shit himself out of fear and panic. But like we all just started fucking laughing, and thankfully the match didn't suck too bad. We fucked up a little bit, but we got through it.
I mean, you got booked again, brother.
We got booked. Hey, so we got booked for 5 more years, so it was okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's you know, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I had to look up because I wasn't sure. I went to the fine people at cagematch.net or .com.
I'm still on cagematch.com or .net or whatever.
Whatever the fuck it is, the fine people there who keep fine records. I had to look up to see how many times I wrestled Brodie Lee.
Yeah. Carrie, you just unlocked a memory. I hope I did.
That's very true. I wrestled Brodie Lee 6 times. And I thought it was half that. Like I thought like,
you guys had a little bit of a thing like 2010, I think.
We did. We had a bit of a feud. I was champion at the time. He was chasing the belt.
He beat you in Watertown, didn't he?
Yeah. So I had Portia with me at the time, and right before my first match, my first match with Brodie, we had a triple threat match. It was me, Springgate, and Brodie. And, you know, I was kind of like, oh, okay. Like it wasn't anything I was too excited for because first off, 3-ways are hard to begin with. And then second of all, it's like, I'm the champion. I'm coming in against these two guys who are towering over.
I was saying, like, I'm just imagining that. Like, they're both very tall, very much taller.
They're both very tall, and it's like I have to come out as the winner, so like I got to do the chicken shit heel kind of thing. But we get through it, and I was like, I can't wait until I got to face Brodie one-on-one because I know we'd have a good match. And the match before I wrestled Brodie as champion, it was fucking terrible. It was awful. Like, I had lost so much confidence in myself. I'm like, I'm the champion. I'm carrying the company kind of thing, as you do as the champion. I had a match. I can't really remember who it was, but it didn't really go well, and it wasn't getting over. And it was one of those things where, like, I had done, like, the face heel swap, like, really quick.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really working, and I'm like, fuck. And so, like, I remember Brodie coming up to me, and he's really excited. He's like, all right, man, like, it's world title match, you know, here we go. What do you want to do? And I'm like, I'm depressed. I'm like, I don't really know. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't really want to do anything tonight, is what I said to him.
Yeah.
And I remember the death stare that he fucking gave me. He goes, what? And I go, yeah, man, like, whatever you want to do is fine. And I'm like, and he looked at me and he's like, okay, well, this is what I want to do. And he's like, I want to start off the match with, I'm going to make my entrance and you make your entrance. And before you get to the ring, I'm going to dive on you. So the match starts off hot. He's like, we're going to start the match off hot. And he dives on me before I can get in the ring. And he beat my fucking ass all around the arena. Like, he threw me into chairs. He threw garbage on me. He was beating me up and down the bleachers in Watertown. He was beating my fucking ass. And after that moment, I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter what fucking mood I'm in. It doesn't matter what happened last week. I need to bring my all every single fucking time. And that lesson came from Brodie with some tough fucking love, saying like, hey, man, you're the champ. Everybody wants this spot. Everybody fucking wants the spot. So you need to fucking bring it every single goddamn time. So he beat my ass. And I think I beat him with like a couple low blows that night and then like rolled him up kind of thing, like really cheap win, but like continued the feud type of thing. And I had been on, at that point, like that really lit a fire under my ass and carried me through the following months of whatever my title reign would be. Ended up being the longest in 2CW history. But it came the time to drop the belt, and Josh was like, we want to drop it to Brodie. And I'm like, of course.
Yeah.
He, you know, super baby face at the time, super good, fucking tremendous worker. And Josh was like, we're going to run with him with the title. And I'm like, if you're going to end this streak of over a year of me holding the belt, absolutely. That's the guy. Some other guys that actually been pitched in the past, and I'm like, I mean, not to be like super political, but I'm like, like, do you wanna? But is like, as soon as Brodie's name came out, I'm like, of course. Like, it's time.
Well, like, perfect. At that point in time, it made sense because, like, I feel like I'm trying to think of the timeline here. Like, right around 2009, 2010, I feel like a lot of those Rochester guys really sort of became like a part of the company, because I know like a lot of those guys sort of came over during that Upstate 2CW feud. As I mean, fuck, I remember sitting in the back of the Pastimes, and it was December 2007. And like that was right when the feud was really just starting to build up. I mean, shit, Brodie was still wearing tassels and, you know, a half singlet at that point.
Yeah, half singlet. That's right. Yeah.
And yeah, like around 2009, 2010, like I feel like he had really sort of been fully embraced by the 2CW crowd, because like you still get a little bit. Yeah, and I mean, like we got through the whole like Riot in Binghamton that one night where I thought I was going to die because it was my first night working security. A chair was thrown. There was a scuffle. He pushed a guy over in front of me who I then had to tackle. And, like, bro, I was... Because he knocked that fucker out in the parking lot.
Well, from the story... So I'm on the stage when all this is happening.
Yeah.
And I'm watching the main event, basically, of the evening. And any information that I get about this evening comes from Scott Dixon. Because he was right there with Brodie. So basically, from what I understand, is that a chair is thrown.
Oh, yeah. It was like, ooh. I was like, oh, that's not good.
Almost hits Loka in the head.
Mm-hmm.
And then Brodie's like, fuck that. Because I don't know if you remember, like, Wildebeest, it's really funny reading all this on Wikipedia and then you guys explaining the whole story. That's right. So it's very true. So basically what happens is that a chair is thrown from the crowd. Like, they were serving way too much alcohol that night.
I mean, Binghamton. It's Binghamton. Like,
Binghamton knew what they were getting. Like the old guy Tony from the American Legion. Mm-hmm. He knew he was making his money for the year.
Oh yeah,
that night.
Yeah.
On booze sales alone.
Let him ride. He don't care.
Hit Loka in the thigh, according to Brute. So they were making their money for all their memberships, for all their fucking birthday parties, for all the vets, whatever the fuck. They were making their money that night on beer sales alone. So people were walking back with a 6-pack of drafts from the fucking bar. So, like, it was lit as fuck. And then a chair goes flying. And unfortunately, I feel a little responsible because me and Spike had kind of a few years prior to this incited a riot of all the chairs being thrown in the ring. So it wasn't like completely out of the blue,
right? If
that person had been there from the previous event, but like, at the time,
it was
no.
I mean, like, listen, I'm just gonna say, like, in wrestling, like that's what you want, right?
I mean,
like,
that's like emotion, you want passion,
you want that.
As Fenton is saying, the chair was thrown frisbee style and hit Loka. It was aimed at the Upstate guys. That is true.
So I remember at this point being, because I was working that back door.
Of course, it was my fault, Fenton. Thank you.
So I remember I was working that back door, and.
The gimmick door.
The gimmick door where, like, it leads out to the bar, then the stairwell, all that, in the bathroom.
Good for you.
And fuck, man. Things got out of control. It got to a point where, like, there were a lot of people sitting in the crowd that were, like, up to me. And then as the main event went on, there was a lot of space between me and the angry mob trying to get through the guardrail. So it was like me, Steve Coleman.
Oh, fuck, really?
We got, and this is when he was still the house.
Right.
So me and Steve got in between the guardrail and the ring somehow. I think we just hopped it. And we're fucking pushing people back. They're yelling at us. And I look up and I just see the frisbee. Going. And I just go, oh, fuck. Someone's going to die. I don't know what compelled me, but I jumped through the crowd. And because at this point, everybody's barreling out. The Upstate guys are barreling out. I run. Jack Trades is next to me. We're running out. We see the fucking guy. He's squaring off. I'm yelling at him. I turn around and I just see straight up a Mack truck with its high beams on, and it's Brodie, and he's just like, a fucking chair, and I'm like, Brodie, and I just go around him. I let him do his thing. Trades is like, my guys, get back in the building. So we just went back in the building. He knocked the guy out. Right. I go to Josh. I go, hey man, Lovins is saying that somebody called the cops and they want to arrest Brodie. And he's just like, well, they can talk to Brodie. And I'm just like, cool. And I just go back to work in the crowd, and I'm like, this was my introduction to Ring Crew. Brute was doing video in the front of the stage. He saw the chair fly. Brodie charges out. I see the entire crowd funnel out the front door. Yeah, man, it was wild.
I was literally right next to you, Brute. I saw the whole thing, but here's the part where Dixon's story comes in. So he's working security as well.
Yeah.
And he files out with Brodie. Basically, we're gonna go get this motherfucker.
Oh, which rightfully so.
And not only that, but like I think like Beast was in the crowd and like a couple other dudes as well. And so like everybody's like the arena filed out.
Yeah, but like the crowd was now outside. I don't know why the entire crowd went outside for this, but they were like,
oh shit. Shit is like real shit's going down. Basically. Like fuck this pro wrestling shit.
Yeah.
Like real shit's going down. So anyway, so from Dixon's account, from what I can remember, he goes out with Brodie, and Brodie like one punches knocked this guy out, but then the guy who he knocked out's friends starts jumping in, and Brodie and Dixon are just back to back. Like, we're gonna take all these motherfuckers on, and like a couple guys charge, they take care of business, whatever the case may be, and then like Brodie like bumps like Dixon's shoulder kind of thing. And he's like turning around, swinging. He's like, "Oh, hold on, brother, we're good." Or whatever.
Same team.
But so then they file back in the arena, and then I remember this vividly because this is a first-hand account from me. I'm sitting in Gorilla at this point, and Brodie just flies back through and goes out the back door immediately. He's like, "Jimmy, get the car. We're getting the fuck out of here." So like he left his gear, he left all his shit, and like Josh is like, I'll take care of it. So like he was out the door in the car, and they were off back to Rochester before the cops could come and figured the shit out.
Yeah.
But my favorite part of the whole story. So to have full context of the story, if you don't know what we're talking about, this was a 5-on-5 match. It was 2CW.
It was lights out.
Lights out, sanctioned. No DQ.
It was a
match.
brawl. It was a brawl.
Anything goes. It was 5-on-5, 2CW versus Upstate. My favorite part of the whole evening was Josh. He was so fucking pissed at Brodie, not for going outside, not for punching the fan in the face, not for leaving abruptly before the cops could get there. Right before Brodie Lee stormed out of the building, Josh took a choke slam into a pile of thumbtacks, and he was so scared to take this bump into thumbtacks, and nobody fucking saw it because they were all filing out of the building. So he came back from the match pissed as fuck. He's like, that motherfucker Brodie Lee took my heat. That's that was my favorite part of the whole thing. He's like, I'm so pissed at Brodie. I took those fucking thumbtacks and nobody saw it because everybody was out the fucking door.
Oh my god. I don't even think I remember that moment.
Oh.
But yeah, man, I mean,
that was my favorite story.
Yeah, that's holy shit. There's John Mayer.
There's so many. Yeah. I mean, do you have anything to add to that story?
To that, no. Like it. Well, other than, I mean, like that again. That was like I had been training on and off for like, when the fuck? Yeah, I had been training on and off for like a couple of months at that point. And it was just like that being like my introduction to like working a wrestling show, because it started I mean the day started with Josh burping Jack Daniels in my face, and then because we both learned something about each other that day. He burped Jack Daniels in my face and he goes, "What's that smell like?" And I was like, "I don't know, I can't smell." And he goes, "It's Jack Daniels." I was like, You like to drink. Yeah, man. It was like growing up, hearing stories of wrestling, and just like the wildness of it all, and then like that being my first live show on the crew experience. I was like, yeah, this is wonderful. I'm here. This is great. I love it. You know,
it's fantastic.
Yeah,
I've got 2 other Brodie Lee stories I want to talk about. First off was like we had talked about the night that we that he was going to win the title. We were in it was Watertown. Well, actually, no, I have 3 Brodie Lee stories I want to talk about. 2 of them are quick, but this one, it was Watertown. He was winning the belt that night, and we were in a first blood match. And the gimmick was that we were in a first blood match. He was going to get me, and I was going to blade, which I did. But before I bladed, there was a ref bump, and I was going to pour the fake blood on Brodie.
Yeah.
And he was going to get caught and lose the match. It's funny. Before the match, he's like, "Hey, brother, there's a bunch of chemicals in that fake blood. Just make sure you don't get it in my eyes." And I'm like, "Don't worry, brother. I got you. You know, don't worry." Heat of the moment, pour that shit right in his fucking eyes.
You dumped it on him, if I remember correctly.
Well, I was like, you know, it's a visual. You know, you got to make sure that
you got to make it look good. I mean, it's wrestling. Yeah.
I took the whole thing and I just poured it upside down. And I'm just like, as soon as it like went into his eyes, I'm like, oh, fuck. I fucked up. I'm like, sorry. I'm so sorry. But beforehand, we knew the finish was going to be, I was going to pour the fake blood. And then Commissioner Patterson was going to come out and restart the match as a street fight.
Right.
Falls count anywhere. And then I was going to lose the belt that way. And Brodie said, he's back to me. We're in backstage and we're talking about, you know, what do we want to do for a finish? He's like, hey man, like you've held this title for over a year. You're the longest reigning champion. You've beaten everybody by hook or by crook. I think we need to do something that's definitive. That's a huge fucking bump for you to take, to put you away for me to win the belt, because it's false count anywhere. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I love the idea. Because at the time, you know, I was like taking all sorts of bumps. I was taking, you know, some crazy shit, to be perfectly honest. And at the time, like I kind of had the mentality of like, I will die for this company. Like I will die for this business. I don't give a fuck. I will do anything it takes, you know, to get a reaction from the crowd, to give myself to this company. And he goes, how do you feel about a package pile driver? And I'm like, well, I've never taken one before. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. He goes, how do you feel about a package pile driver off the apron through a table? And I'm like, at the time, I'm like, yeah, man, I don't care. Whatever you want to do, was my reaction. He goes, no, hold on. He goes, I care. I want to make sure you're cool with this. And I go, well, what does it involve? And like backstage, he like hooks me up for the package pile driver. It tells me to keep my arms tight, which is going to keep me up from hitting my head kind of thing. He goes and he lifts me up right in the locker room. He goes, I'm going to do this. And then we're just going to go and we're going to go through the table. And I'm like, and at the time, like after we kind of went through it, I'm like, I was a little nervous, to be perfectly honest. I'm like, you know, that's a little bit more than I was expecting kind of thing. And then, you know, just in my head, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to do the Sabu method of this fucking thing. And I'm like, I'm going to not think about it. I'm going to not think about it. And whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Kids at home, maybe don't go with the Sabu method.
Do not do this. From a perspective.
The Sabu method.
The Sabu method of like, if you stand there and think about it, you're gonna chicken out. So just don't think about it and just do it.
I mean,
that's the Sabu.
I feel like there's an extreme there though, which
there really
maybe
is.
Think about it a little bit.
So the time comes for the spot.
The fucking dog. And I'm sorry, that popped me.
And I'm on the, so we do the blood spot. He's pissed because I got it in his eyes.
Right, of course.
And I'm like, I'm so sorry, brother. Like whatever. So we had like 3 more spots to run before the finish.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gets me up on the apron and he's like, "Are you ready?" And I'm like, "I guess." Cause like at this point I'm blown up. Yep. Let's be honest.
Let's go home. It's time to go.
It's a 20-minute match. Yeah. Like I'm ready for it to be over. And brother, like looking back on it, I don't know if I'd let anybody else do that spot. Mm-mm. Like, he picked me up, and granted, like, I jumped and shit, but, like, he picked me up, and as soon as I was upside down, I was like, he's got me. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have to worry. And, like, he had me upside down, and he dropped, and, like, I know he had a worse bump than I did that night. Through the table. And as soon as the table broke and he rolled out on top of me and gave the old thank you. And that was it. And it was a hell of a moment. Mm-hmm. And to a better guy, it couldn't have happened to. I was happy to do it.
Yeah. And I think I feel like that was a sentiment that really followed him throughout his career as well. I mean, I remember when we all heard he got the call up. And it's you hear stories about, you know, like the people that make it and the people that made it, and I don't think there was a single person who, like, when they heard Brodie, you know, got signed, they were like, well, fuck. Everybody was just excited about it. And then, like,
for sure,
you know, like I had heard stories that, like, developmental was, like, not great for him. But then, like, when he finally made it on Raw and they were building up to the Wyatts.
Oh, yeah.
Like, dude, I think Josh and I had actually gone to a concert that night in Buffalo. And then, like, I remember DVRing Raw, getting home. And that was, like, the only thing I did. Like, it was, like, the only thing I cared about doing at that point in time was just seeing him debut. And it was, like, even through, like, after he had been there for a couple of years and, like, being in big matches and, like, winning the titles, I was just like, fucking A, man, it's Brodie. Like, he did it. He made it. And it was so fucking awesome because he was a guy from Rochester. He was a guy we all shared a locker room with. He was a guy that a lot of people had traveled with that we were all very close to. And everybody that we knew, everybody that we were in the network with was just like, yeah, like, that dude deserves it. You know? So.
The last story I'll share with Brodie was right after that happened. So he got called. So he got signed. Mm-hmm. But as they do, they're like, you need to finish up your dates,
right?
Kind of thing. And we had booked him for one last date, and I'm pretty sure I've been hitting the head a lot, folks. So, like, you'll have to forgive me. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure it's that famous match of him, Sammy, Pac, and Swan. The 4-way at Ithaca.
That's not his last match.
That's not his last match.
His last match was, I believe, Elmira.
Okay, well, it was close. Yeah. It was close. I remember it specifically being the mall. So I remember it being Ithaca.
Dude,
that this story happened.
Yeah.
So it was close to the end. He either just got signed or I'm pretty sure he just got signed. So, like, he had a couple more dates with us to finish up. I think he might have actually got pushed back before going, so, like, he made an extra date at the end. I can't really remember before this story. So, like, I remember the news broke that he got signed, everybody was happy for him. Like literally everybody was happy for him, obviously, like you had said. So like the whole time when he showed up to the mall, it was congratulations, 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 congratulations kind of thing. And so, you know, I was happy for him too. Like super good dude, finally getting the break that everybody wants to get, you know, kind of thing. So like I go up to him and I say, hey man, congratulations. And he looks at me, and at this time in my life, I had just kind of come out that my wife had become pregnant with our first child. And so he, you know, I went up to him and I said, congratulations, shook his head. He, you know, as he did, whenever you shake Brodie's hand, you shake his hand and he bows to you. You know, it's just the way that he does things.
Yeah.
So you shake your hand, he bows to you. And I said, hey man, congratulations. And he goes, oh man, fuck that shit. Congratulations to you, man. You're going to be a dad. And I'm like, and I was blown away. Because, like, I hadn't told anybody, really. Like, I had told Josh. So Josh must have told him.
Right.
And like, for him to say that at that period of time, because, like, you know, I was scared. Like,
sure.
I didn't know how to be a dad. You know, like, I wasn't expecting it kind of thing. It was kind of out of the blue. So, like, for him to say, like, oh, man, this WWE, fuck all that shit. Like, you're going to be a dad. Like, that's fucking awesome. Like, that speaks to the man. That speaks to the dude.
Yeah, I would say you actually just jogged another memory for me, and because I see Brutes in the chat as well. When we had, because I think it was that same exact show actually. We had one. I think we beat you for the titles.
Oh, me and Marcos?
You and Marcos for the tag titles that night.
Oh, that was a fun fucking match. That was a good time.
Yeah, I took a spear off the apron. I wasn't terrified of that.
I remember going up to you in the locker room and was like, hey man, you want to do some crazy shit tonight? And you're like, yeah, man, I'm
sure,
game.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm like, I'm gonna fucking spear you through the ropes to the, you know, to the floor, and then like three days later, Big E's doing it on pay-per-view. And I'm like, motherfucker.
Well, like, you know? So we had done the match, and then backstage we were doing the title shoot. So like Mark had come back like to take photos and stuff, and like Mike and I are like just back there like being fucking, you know, because like we're still super green, and we're like, yeah. And then Brodie comes up, he goes, oh, I gotta get a photo with the champs. Okay, thanks guys. And then just walks away, and we were like, that was the coolest fucking shit ever. Like, fuck winning the titles, like that meant more.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like, kind of to sum it all up, like Brodie was a great ribber. He loved to laugh. He loved to joke around. Insanely loved wrestling. Like to the point where like I know you remember this. There was a point right to the end of my career where I was like, I still want to get better. So I actually bought a set of wrestling mats to put in my basement.
Yeah.
And then you would come over and we would work on some shit.
Yeah.
Like just to kind of to stay tight and so that I could have kind of my own gym. So, well, first off, John Huber, friend requested me on Facebook, which at the time he was signed to WWE. Like, he didn't have to do that shit. And we had worked a bunch, but like we weren't close or anything like that. So like
I got to follow up to this. Go ahead.
And so like it meant the world to begin with. And then I posted a picture of the mats, you know, on Facebook being like, this is the start of the Axe Family Dungeon. You know, kind of like the old Stu Hart right type of dungeon.
Oh yeah.
And he was the first motherfucker to heart that post because he knew that like these fuckers are taking it to the next level.
Right.
These guys are getting ready to do some work.
And hey, if it weren't for you getting those mats, we wouldn't have this fucking show.
Is that true?
Yeah. Oh my God. You dick. We literally, because you were like, hey man, like I got these mats. Like, would you want to come over and just like work out sometime? I was like, yeah, sure. So like I had been doing that. And then from doing that, you were like, do you like podcasts? And I was like, yeah, I like podcasts. And then we talked about doing a podcast. And here we are 5 years later. We've made it.
That's
I do have awesome. I do have a follow-up though to the friend request thing, because like somehow Brodie and I ended up as friends on Facebook. I'm not really sure. It seemed weird to me because again, like we didn't really have that close of a relationship. But like we were friends on Facebook, and then I remember being in the back at a show one day, and this story is really going to be funny to maybe like 5 people, but I'm going to tell it anyways. Okay. We were in the back, and like I was just like stretching out before a match one night, and like he had just kind of come in and he looks down and he goes, Graham, you're friends with Mark Krieger on Facebook? And I was like, yeah. He goes, why? I'm like, because like I met him in college and like we were friends in college. He goes, oh, we can't be friends anymore. And I was like, so I was like, what? He goes, yeah, I don't want to be your friend anymore. And he just walks away. It's like, okay, well, cool.
Oh fuck.
But yeah, man.
I mean, and just to kind of wrap it up, like, it sucks, man.
It does.
Like,
yeah.
And I just want to say, like, big kudos to AEW tonight. They put on a hell of a fucking tribute.
Very much so.
To that dude.
Yeah.
More to his recent stuff, but like big tribute from Land Charger, dressing up like the old big rig kind of thing.
Yep.
Anytime anybody would hit one of his old moves, like it was just fucking like faucets.
Yeah. One thing I really appreciated throughout the entire episode was the fact that not a single person shied away from the fact that he worked for other companies. He had different names.
Oh, yeah.
He wrestled with other people. And I think it's, on one hand, I understand why, like a company like the WWE would do something like that, just, because like they are in their own bubble. They have the WWE bubble, if you will.
Sure.
Whereas like, but like at the end of the day, like, and it was like, I saw like Brian Myers tweeted out this week, like this was a guy who was beloved by everybody in the industry. Didn't matter where they worked, didn't, across the board, everybody loved him. He was a great dude, and like this was a fitting tribute to him. And kind of going back to something I had said at the top of the show, one of the things that was very comforting to me throughout these past few days was just sitting back and reading all of the stories, and not just of him.
It's insane.
Not just of him in the ring, but of him out of the ring, because it's like Brodie was just the fucking man.
I mean, that's it. Like he really was the fucking man. Like, and for all of you who may be interested, like he was absolutely the driving force behind the 2CW reunion that was coming back. Kind of behind the scenes shit. Like the pandemic hit, and me and Chris Lovins, we didn't have anything really to do, and we came up with this idea to do a podcast about remembering 2CW. And Chris really wanted to do it, but he really was kind of tentative about doing it. And he really wanted me to be on board with it. And I helped him get started, but I told him, I'm like, listen, man, this is your thing. Like, this is your podcast. I will help you, whatever you want. But this is your thing. And he took the ball and ran with it. And it's a fantastic podcast. Please go to the 2CW Facebook page to watch all the episodes if you haven't seen them. But man, like as soon as it started, like the first motherfucker in there to start commenting was John Huber. And he was chatting with the fans, he was chatting with the talent who was on screen for the thing. He was so fucking invested into CW, in what we were doing when we were, younger. Obviously, like it didn't fucking matter to him that he had made it. He's, financially stable, whatever the fuck. He loved the times that he spent with us in the 2CW locker room and the fans and everything like that, so that he would comment on those podcasts and be active in the chat. Kind of more behind the scenes shit. He was scheduled to be on the podcast. Because of the pandemic, AEW wanted him to wait until they could have live fans again, because they wanted to do his big Rochester show.
Right.
So they said that he could be on the Remembering 2CW podcast after he debuted in Rochester, because they wanted that pop from the local fans. So he was slated to be on the podcast. Of course, it never happened because of the pandemic and fucking 2020 and everything else that was going on. So like that's heartbreaking, because the stories that he was going to tell from his perspective about 2CW and about the time that we spent with him would have been fantastic. But unfortunately that didn't come to be. But it was amazing to see that, like, after everything that he's experienced, after everything that he's been through, he was still excited about seeing us, seeing the fans, seeing just to be back in the 2CW ring. It was one of the things about the 2CW reunion that was announced that I was really looking forward to, was to seeing him again. Trading stories, trading laughs, trading that sort of thing. And it's just unfortunate.
It is. But hey, we're here tonight. So I think what we're going to end up doing here is we're going to be pushing a lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about tonight to next week. I think that we have definitely filled this episode with enough for we don't need to get into the year-end bullshit that we were going to do. We'll do that next week. Tonight, I'm glad we got to do this. I honestly wasn't expecting this to go this long. I know we definitely should have and wanted to talk about Brodie for a little bit, but it's amazing when you get into these types of stories, like how fast time goes by. And
that's kind of the thing too, is like when people have been posting pictures of Brodie and like posting the pictures of the time that we knew him versus the newer shots of him in AEW, I'm like, holy fuck, where did the time go?
Right.
Like, he looks like a completely different dude, even though like I've always associated him with being fucking Brodie Lee.
That video, I did see the video Moose posted from when he won the title. I was like, my God, he looks like a baby.
Right? It's crazy.
Like, granted, it was like a decade ago, but which is like fucking weird to think.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, it's wild. Tough.
It's a tough way to end the year of an already fucking horrendous year. It's from Fenton. The best part of the stories have been the real life. Not only is wrestling life, no one has ever been talking about his in-ring career. It's all about been the outside the ring antics. And actually, you just reminded me of something, Fenton, and I feel bad for some of the dudes. Like, obviously, like I had a lot of in-ring experience with him, but there's plenty of dudes that we know that have had plenty of outside the ring experience with them, including both of our pretty close friends, Studley Steve McKenzie, who actually used to vacation with Brodie and his wife and little Brodie as well. But this one instance, I will never, as long as I fucking live, will never forget this. We were at some fucking bullshit bar at some fucking bullshit town, and they were doing karaoke that night. And the boys loved their fucking karaoke. Like, boy, do they ever.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever town we were in, whatever bar we were in, they just happened to have this family reunion going on that night at the same bar. So this family continued to go up to the karaoke machine time and time again, and they would all hoot and howl over whoever was singing whatever the fuck may be. So like we were having a miserable fucking time because like none of the boys could get up to the karaoke machine. Nobody was having fun. I remember Brodie being pissed that night for one reason or another, probably because he had to work slick, but whatever the fuck, you know. But this guy gets up to the karaoke machine and he's singing Bon Jovi, Dead or Alive. And he must have been in his mid-60s, at least. And boy fucking howdy, if he wasn't, 5'9", 260 pounds, wearing a tight as fuck blue long sleeve Under Armour shirt, exposing everything. He was a sight to be seen. He's singing Bon Jovi, and he doesn't need the monitor. Okay. He knows the words.
Oh yeah, that's his thing.
And that is his thing, and he is shouting. And he's not singing. He is shouting the lyrics into the microphone. And I remember sitting next to Sudley Steve, and both me and him are watching this guy, arms like mouths agape, just like in awe of the spectacle that we were just watching. And Studley taps Brodie on the shoulder and says, "Hey man, you gotta see this." And Brodie, being pissed off or whatever, he's like, "No," just kind of like brushes him off. And Studley's relentless. He's like, "Bro, you gotta see this." And Brodie turns around and looks at the karaoke stage. And I have never seen... Listen, I've seen my kids on Christmas morning. I've seen, walls come down. Yeah. I have not seen joy on a man's face than I have seen Brodie Lee in this dive bar in whatever the fuck town, watching this man shouting Bon Jovi lyrics at just the spectacle that was behold us. And I think that more than anything just shows like he was in it for the good time.
Yeah.
He was in it for the experience. He was in it to show the love. And we just together just laughed our asses off at this man. Just like, this was his thing. This was his night. This was his moment. And we were there to witness that particular event.
Wow.
But like I said, man, like gone way too soon.
Yeah.
Was going to be part of the reunion, was going to be part of the show. AEW retired the current TNT Championship design. It's now the Brodie Lee Memorial belt. They're completely making the championship belt. That's beautiful.
That's wonderful.
His son getting involved tonight on the show was beautiful.
That was, yeah.
And the thing that kind of breaks me the most is that like his son and my daughter are months apart. Both me and Brodie, we both became fathers relatively close. We both talked about it together. See the boots laid down tonight was tough. But I'm very happy the treatment that AEW for him, his family. It's a treatment I know for sure the WWE would not have given him, just from past history. So it's very nice to see, and I really hope that there is some type of memorial belts or memorial tournament or whatever the fuck they want to do. I hope his son is taken care of. I hope the family is taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
I've met Amanda before. I've met his son before. So it's close to home.
Right.
Closer than I initially thought it would. To be perfectly honest.
Yeah. And again, much differently, much harder than anybody else, I think. A lot of it because we knew who he was. We knew the type of guy he was. And I mean, Brodie, we love you. Everybody in the chat, I know there's a lot of 2CW guys in the chat right now. We love you guys too. We hope you guys are doing okay.
Yep.
You know, definitely a hard time for all of us. You know, we'll certainly get through it. And yeah, I'm
It's the first time in a long time, in a very long time, I can say that I am extremely proud and privileged to be part of the pro wrestling community.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have banded together over this. I know that I've reconnected with a lot of people that I haven't seen in a very long time, unfortunately, over this tragic event.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say that I love you all.
Mm-hmm.
I miss you all. And I hope we can get together really soon to remember the good times and to bond over this crazy fucking thing that we all decided to get involved in, which is pro wrestling, which Brodie loved very, very much.
Yeah. And with that, I think we're going to go ahead and close out the show tonight.
I think so.
Again, we love you guys. We hope you're all doing well. No plugs, no nothing. We got some other stuff coming up. You know, if you want to follow us, go ahead and give us the follow. But we just hope you guys are all doing well. We love you.
Yeah, please be safe and have a great New Year. Package Piledriver, suit tables for everybody.
For sure.
Remember the good times. Watch those YouTube videos. Remember Brodie. He was a fantastic fucking dude. Will be greatly missed. And we'll
catch you guys
see you down the
one.
road.
Peace.